Cubase was first released back in 1989, which makes Cubase 30 years old, which is quite crazy. On my end, I first started with Cubase in 2003 with SX2. That was the first Cubase version I purchased. My first professional gig using Cubase was in 2003, where I was hired to record a live album. And I remember working on the editing of that album out of my apartment in a very tiny room using just a basic Windows-based computer and a pair of headphones with Cubase. That was my setup back then. Since then, I've been working on more than 80 albums, serving independent artists here in Canada, Europe, and the US. In the studio, I wear several different hats. I produce, I write and arrange music, I edit, I record, I mix, I do mastering also. So I need a software, a DAW, that performs well in all those different spheres of music production. And Cubase does it pretty well as far as I'm concerned. Throughout the years, I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own, like playing keyboards, piano, bass. I grew up as a drummer. And since my music theory is not the best, Cubase helps me to stay creative and effective, even with some of my limitations. I just think of a tool like the chord pads, just to experiment with simple and complex chords and chord progressions that helps me to be creative when writing and producing music in Cubase. There's a bunch of different VST instruments included in Cubase. I just think of Retrolog, Halion Sonic, Groove Agent, which sound pretty good. And that adds up to the creativity side of Cubase. And this is something that I appreciate a lot as a music producer. Now, I cannot talk about Cubase and not cover Very Audio, which is amazing for pitch correction. And this is actually one of my favorite tools in Cubase. And the integration of Very Audio is quite amazing. It's very simple to use. You need it, it's there, and then you can start work and pitch correct your vocals. And the stuff you can do with Very Audio is quite amazing. Like on my side, if I just need to fine tune a vocal to bring that vocal to 100% and keep the vocal sound natural, I can do so with Very Audio. I can also create some cool pop effects with Very Audio. I can also work some vocal arrangements within Very Audio, which makes this tool more than just a correction tool, but also a creative tool, which is quite nice. When it comes to recording and mixing, I love working in Cubase. I just think of features like lanes and track versions, which are very useful when I record drums and vocals, especially when it comes to mixing. Just the routing workflow in Cubase is very simple to use. Using external gear is easy to set up. Plugins are pretty good. I just think of a Quadraphase, for example, that is a multi-band saturation plugin that I love to work with. Same for the vintage and tube compressors, which are pretty nice. And also the channel strip, which is pretty cool to work with. Now, I work with all of those tools in my mixing sessions for myself, my own music, and also for my clients. I can talk about Cubase all night long and give you more reasons why I'm still working with Cubase after all those years. But I'm going to summarize with this. With everything that Cubase offers and the workflow I end up getting working with Cubase, I find myself focusing on what I need to achieve as a music producer and get things done. And this is why I love Cubase.